It's Instacash Grenada. Imagine a game with no numbers to choose from, no draws to wait on, and you can play it every day, including Sunday. That's Instacash. It's fast, it's easy to play, and you win prizes instantly. Instacash. Must be 18 years or older to play. NLA. Making dreams come true.
As we celebrate 50 years of independence,
I love my Grenada.
Made in Grenada presents the celebration of 50 years of Calypso.
Open me a little better night, honey.
One stage,
No, not so fast.
one show.
Music holding me, controlling.
Grenada's best Calypsonians performing Grenada's greatest hits.
Don't take it off. I like it.
Sunday, February 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. sharp. Grenada National Stadium. More information coming soon.
When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise she hand and she tell me, Spanky no play sweeter than home.
Yeah. Yes. Welcome to Ride Along Live. Yeah, man, welcome to Monday on the ride, guys. I am happy to be here, very happy, ecstatic to be here. How are you, Denise? I see you first. Thank you. Big up yourself. Appreciate you. As you come in, guys, go ahead and share the thing. Share the thing. Fitzroy Adams, I see you. I see Linda. I see Lydia Samuel. How you doing? Big up yourself. Lydia James. Wago. Lacey J, I see you. Everybody, man. Everybody. Welcome. Nice. Janelle, how you doing? Sherry George, how you doing? Let me share, guys. Sharing is caring. And I'm very, very happy, guys, and ecstatic to be here today. Because let me tell you all something that I didn't tell all you last week. I had a very bad incident, right? It wasn't a vehicular accident, it was an incident. I severely injured myself, my back. In fact, I didn't want to worry up you guys and stuff like that. And I don't know why I didn't want to worry all you up. Yeah, people would have fly from Canada and come. So I didn't want to worry you all you up. So I spent quite a few hours in the hospital, guys, because after I came off the plane, I was carrying some bags and I severely injured my back. And I was for how much days, boy? For about 5 days, 5 or 6 days. The only thing I could have done is just lay flat on my back. And I did all sorts of therapy and all sorts of things, man. Just nothing. So I'm happy, guys, that yesterday and over the weekend, I should say, I started to do a series of exercise and therapy. And I'm happy to say I'm feeling much better. The pain has subsided drastically. Dylan, you're not getting notification? Yeah, so the pain has subsided drastically and I'm feeling much better. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. For those who reached out, because I mentioned it, but I didn't tell you guys how severe the thing was. The thing sent me to the hospital and I was there for a bit. But I am back 100%. 100%. I'm ready for them. All right. Cynthia, thank you so much. Lois JJ, thank you so much. Thank you for checking up and making sure your boy doing fine. All right. Back pain don't nice. Guys, I have to start, but I ain't find all this sharing up the thing, I ain't find everybody share up the thing yet, All this share, because today we're gonna be having this very, very important discussion. Very important discussion. And on our panel today, we have, of course, media and radio activists and host of one of the most popular program on the island, if not the most powerful popular program on the island, Mr. Kem Jones. He is here with us, and he doesn't hold him out. Yeah, he doesn't. He tell you as it is, and the brother is here, so Kem, we'd like to welcome him. Yes, thank you so much, Kem. Also joining us is no stranger to the ride. This man, I love Micheal Baptiste. Micheal Baptiste is so controversial, but he's my friend. We're from the same area. He's a former parliamentarian. Micheal Baptiste is he is a former minister of agriculture. I don't know why people don't like Micheal. I don't no problem with Micheal. Micheal is a cool guy. So Micheal is here with us. And of course we have, where is Dwight, boy? Dwight, are you there? We have my good friend, media journalist, okay, he's there we go. There we go. My good friend Dwight is here with us as well. And we are going to engage in this very important conversation. I think it's very, very much needed at this point in time. So, my friend, let's start with Dwight. Dwight, how you doing, boy? How things?
Hey, good night, boy. Good night. I'm good, you know. At Dame O'Connor, I'm so elated to be on the panel with some esteemed gentlemen, the royals of the royals, man. I see you ever fell with a mic in your face. I see you going real leaks last weekend. I wanted to call the man, brother, you want that taste you are?
Who doesn't get leaks? Everybody will get leaks. And the man himself. And let me tell you now. Kem Jones is coming to New York, Papa Bunji. Kem coming to New York. We're going to talk about this. Yes,
hold on.
Yeah, what? Let me tell you, they say they have to block up traffic, all kind of thing. Guys, let me tell you from the beginning. I just put the link for the ticket right there in the chat. Kem Jones is coming to New York for the first time, and he's having this big event at Nutmeg House, and it's going to be massive. Just a few tickets remaining, and Kem shining up himself and ready to come. So, you know, Kem have a lot to see, a lot of people to meet, and he's here for the first time. Kem Jones, how you doing, my friend?
I'm always in my corner because I realize Dwight, he's in his corner doing his due.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's always a pleasure to be on this very popular platform. And as a good friend said, people don't throw stones at empty mango tree unless they have a mental problem. So from time to time, you know, if you're in the kitchen, you're going to get the heat. From time to time, they will throw stones at you, but you have to keep moving forward, moving up. And I'm always happy to be on a program with Dwight and with the most honorable Micheal Baptiste. You have to give him his title.
You have to give me title.
He's a seasoned politician. He, in fact, was handling Goliath by himself at once, right? So he did well as opposition leader. So I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. And of course, the man himself, Mr. How you doing, Mr. Baptiste? You good?
Well, a pleasant evening to everybody. Happy am I to be on the show. Of course, it's my pleasure to be here with Kem and the other brother here. I think it's a good rematch. I don't think it would be as fiery as the last time, but I'm sure we have so many areas where we may agree today, surprisingly.
All right, guys. So let me set the foundation of the conversation. Recently, the IMF released a report, and the report spoke very highly of the current administration and the progress of the economy. Let's get a little snippet of what was said by the IMF at that report. Check it out.
The International Monetary Fund says Grenada's economy continues to grow robustly and is expected to surpass its pre-pandemic level in 2023. The IMF issued a statement following its recent mission to Grenada. The mission team, led by Mr. Jane Hooker, met with the authorities to discuss recent economic developments and follow up on the policy priorities raised during the 2023 Article 4 consultation. Mr. Hooker also said that growth has been driven by continued strength in construction and a sustained increase in tourist arrivals, in part due to successful efforts to improve airlift. He added that record revenues from the Citizenship by Investment program have supported both public and private investment, and at the same time, headline inflation remains low. The report also stated that the near-term fiscal outlook has improved with recent strong revenue performance, and this reflects the buoyant economic activity as well as a surge in the government CBI revenue, which is anticipated to normalize after the current backlog of CBI applications is cleared. The report also noted that the Grenadian financial sector remains stable and liquid, and bank credit growth has increased with greater demand for construction and durable consumer goods loans.
All right. Well, with that said, I mean, this sounds like very good news. This sounds like the best news that you could possibly hear, right? IMF, International Monetary Fund. People look to the IMF before giving loans to any kind of any country, any jurisdiction. It's good. Everybody should be happy. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like a lot of people is very happy about this report. Micheal, first, your take. What's your take on this startling, great, amazing report by the IMF?
Well, I think it's good news for Grenada. It's a confidence booster, at least psychologically. I disagree with the report when it said inflation is low. I think I don't think that is quite accurate. In terms of Grenada economy growing in tourism and the citizen by investment program, I don't think there should be any argument there. Not long ago, the former government said we had the fastest growing economy in the region, sometimes even better than the United States. So in 2 years, if there is growth, I don't think anyone should be surprised. I don't think anyone should take a victory lap as yet. I think there's work to be done because the areas where they talk about growth, in the CBI and the tourism, it has not yet hit rural Grenada. It's slow in coming, but of course there is hope because the economy is growing and there is lots of work to be done.
Right. We're going to get back to why you say that you don't think inflation is on the low, one of the stats that you have on that. But Kim, what do you think about this report by the IMF and the importance and the significance?
Right. So, Junior, let me make it abundantly clear. I'm not an economist. I am a layperson who is out here observing a number of things. I want to say, Junior, the International Monetary Fund issues this report on a yearly basis, right? So they come to Grenada, they visit, and they put out a report. And they're very diplomatic with their statements. We cannot run away from that reality. But they use data to make or to come to that conclusion. So they're not whooping. They're not using their opinion or their feelings. They would meet with different stakeholders. They would gather information. They would get raw data from statistics, from government, from social partners, from businesses, just name it. And they would conclude. But here it is. You had the previous administration who used to be very, very happy when the IMF gives a good report about Grenada. They would use it as a trump card. They would be out there beating their chest like King Kong. But now they're on the opposition side. So it boggles the mind why they're so unhappy. And when you started the program, Junior, you said that quite a number of people are unhappy with the report. Well, I can tell you, we only heard from the NNP, right? Saying, well, they do not fully agree with the report and they start going down because they're on the opposition side. And it comes across as though anything that's good for Grenada hurts them because they want to see Grenada on its knees. That is my conclusion. It has to be some bad story. It's like somebody who likes horror movie. And if you play something or you show something that's romantic, it causes them to throw up or to be angry, to be bitter. And that is how the NNP comes across. But here it is. The IMF is not doing this thing by guess. We have to understand that the government has been publishing the revenue that the CBI program has been generating, where people are putting money into the National Transformation Fund, right? And that's an option. People are actually putting money into projects, that are approved by or under the Citizenship by Investment program. So construction is up. In fact, I spoke to some contractors, and they say, "Well, I can't get helpers, I can't get masons, I can't get carpenters, I can't get this, I can't get that." So people are working. Yes, there's room for improvement, as Michael just said. There's a lot of things that must be done. We need to also factor in, Junior, the pension money and gratuity money is still spending $75.1 million, went straight into the hands of ordinary Grenadians who retired 8, 9, 10 years ago and did not get the money. So they got a lump sum thanks to the NDC. Not only that, the CC workers who were protesting under the NNP, fighting for what was rightfully theirs, they got $22.5 million. Not only that, Junior, you saw the CES program where 500 or so micro, medium size, small businesses, they got an injection, they got the assistance, the startup, the money to keep going and employ one or two people. That's $15.1 million. And look, you could say what you want. The Grenadian people have seen and they're experiencing money in their hands, and they're utilizing it in a very smart way. Let us also, without going too far in, let's look also at the spice replanting program that the NDC just kick off. Ivan Pass, the NNP refused to replant the different spices. The NDC has prioritized agriculture as a pillar in the whole developmental and transformation process, and they are now replanting the spice trees. Plenty people are getting employment in that process. The rural economy is getting a boost. We see only recently some of the injections in the rural economy, where little roads are being constructed, drains are being constructed. A lot of farmers are getting assistance in a number of areas. There's still room for improvement, but the fact remains, money is circulating, things are happening in the economy, and the tourist season, the cruise ship season, sorry, that only recently reopened, vendors, taxi operators, hotels, guest houses. I mean, people are extremely happy with how things are going. So I am not surprised.
Right. Okay. Dwight, what's your take on the report, on the news from the IMF, the report from the IMF? Sorry, Dwight? Yeah, Dwight, go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to agree with Kim, both Kim and Honorable Baptiste, in a sense, because as a journalist, I can tell you, over the years, whenever the IMF gave a report on Grenada, and it was a favorable report, we hear about this thing until March, April, May the next year. Almost in every parliament sitting thereafter, we talking about the IMF, and the IMF give a good report and so on. And now that you are in opposition, all of a sudden you begin to question the same report that you once praised. And I listened to the meeting last night, and for a second I had to ask myself, well, is it the water or something? Because like amnesia just happening in Grenada. Because the reality is, the IMF is an international body. It's not a regional body, not a local, it's an international body. And there are certain set standards and procedures that they have to adhere to. And as Kim said, they don't just go and take word from the government's mouth. They do their investigation, they do their due diligence before they put out a report. But one of the things I can see that is different this time around versus 2 years ago is that there is not a hold on the public's purse. There's not a hold on economic activity within the country. And for the first time in probably a very long time, maybe about 10, 20 years, 10, 15 years, for the last 18, 19 months, we have not had one single protest action happening in Grenada where government workers on the street with placards begging for money. And so that tells you something. And as Kim beat me to it, he was listing out some of the things that happened. It's obvious that when these things begin to happen, you had teachers got their doc money, pension was paid, the CES program, so on and so on and so forth. When those things happen, you are talking about the man. Listen, the reality is that, Junior, in Grenada, there are still people with the blue and white apple in their house, right? And now, under this present government, some of these people who was public servants for umpteen years retire and couldn't fix their house, could now fix their house because they got the money to do it.
Right.
Right? They now have the financial stability to do certain things that they could not do before. Because we all know that when you reach a certain age in life, banking looking to give you a loan as easy as if you were in your 20s or early 30s. And that's the reality. And these
Yes.
people, they not slave, but they worked hard to build our country. But under the previous government, they were denied their pension for all kinds of reasons. I mean, how much of us remember just before the last election there was a massive national address in the trade center, and it was said that if you're going to pay pension, it will be $400,000, $400
Million,
came. I think that was the amount.
Yeah.
460.
Right. And the government came and paid 71 point something, 75 point something $1 million, which is not. The reality is that in Grenada now, people, yes, things are difficult. It's difficult all around the Caribbean. I live in the Caribbean. I can tell you. Some of the pressure that some of the other islands have, Grenada don't have it. Right here in the country, right there next door in Antigua, public workers, some they get paid by the 5th of the next month. Grenada don't have that.
Right.
Public workers are sometimes struggling to make ends meet because of the salary scale right there in Dominica and some of the other countries. Grenada don't have that. And we have a government that definitely has demonstrated that they care about the people, that they care about. Just the other day, Honorable Andy Williams, MIT minister, was given a report on the implementation rate. No, the Prime Minister in his national address at their first anniversary in government, was given a report on the Ministry of Implementation, Transformation and Mobilization and the implementation rate of projects. Now, we can go back in history and we can talk about history. We can talk about the UK SIF fund. We can talk about how many other funds. We can talk about the teachers that was consistently protesting. Now, think about it. If you pay the teacher, now I hear the former Prime Minister last night talking about the debushing program, and that if you give, I hear this word, the poor and vulnerable, the debushing program, that these people, the poor people, understands economics to the point that they will go and spend the money and it will circulate in the economy. But Mr. Former Prime Minister, if you had paid the teachers what they were asking for, if you had paid the TAMCC workers, if you had paid the pension, wasn't the same thing was going to happen?
Right.
I want to ask that question.
I want, Dwight, and great point, right? Great point there. I want to play back this clip because, as I said, not everyone is happy with the great news and information and report that came out from the IMF, right? This is a clip from a meeting, a pocket meeting that was held in St. John. This is former Education Minister Emmeline Peer.
The direct issues that affect people in St. Mark's, people in St. Patrick, people in St. Andrew, people everywhere in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And I want to start, brothers and sisters, with the fact that the government has reported two things. One, that the unemployment rate has been reduced significantly. The unemployment rate, we are told, has been reduced significantly. And we are told that the economy is growing very well. Brothers and sisters, we are told that the IMF has given a glowing report
The International Monetary Fund says Grenada's economy continues to grow robustly and is expected to surpass its pre-pandemic level in 2023. The IMF issued a statement following its recent mission to Grenada. The mission team, led by Mr. Jane Hooker, met with the authorities to discuss recent economic developments and follow up on the policy priorities raised during the 2023 Article 4 consultation.
I told you I don't like to use the word lie. You said that, not me. Brothers and sisters, I am amazed at how people would look at a camera and smile to the audience, telling them that unemployment has dropped and the economy is doing well. Where is your conscience?
Mr. Hooker also said that.
All right. So it went on. Michael, this one is for you. Let me jump to you, Michael. This is questioning the report by the IMF. Again, the IMF, I don't believe, would give a false report just because of a particular administration. I don't think they have any favors with the NDC or any political party for that matter. Why does Emmeline Pear see it so differently than Kem and Dwight and a lot of our viewers that's watching right now? Why is this being questioned?
First, let me say that I have a problem with the messenger. It was not long ago when the same messenger was talking about Grenada having the fastest growing economy in the region. Yet she represented a constituency that have the highest unemployment in the country. She represents a constituency that's listed as one of the poorest in Grenada. You go into Telescope, Marquis, Soubise, Monfan, Kuma. And while Grenada economy under her watch was the fastest growing, yet still we had an increase in the poverty level in these areas. So the messenger, I have a problem with the messenger. And moreover, the economy, as outlined by the IMF, is based on statistics and data that's fed to them by the governments. All governments compile favorably statistics and hope for a favorably report from the IMF. But this government has inherited an economy that is very bad. Let's face it. Coming out of
Thank you.
COVID, the economy was on pause. Not much was happening. Our rural economy had collapsed a long time ago. We have a different economy than what South St. George and the town of St. George may have. In rural Grenada, we have a mixed economy. And for a number of years, the messenger sat in a cabinet that did very little to alleviate poverty. The UNDP gave a report that said that 34% of the population was living under the poverty level. They went on to say that there were people living from paycheck to paycheck. And I did not see any aggression there in addressing those simple facts. Agriculture is something of the past. Look, we're going into the Christmas period now. At a time when people should be happy in rural Grenada, they should be expecting a big bonus. We lost the nutmeg industry. We lost cocoa. We lost banana, minus spices and so on. So our economy in rural Grenada has collapsed a long time ago, and I did not see any serious effort on the part of the messenger and the administration to resurrect the rural economy. I make no bones about that. I've been talking about the collapse of the rural economy for a long time. And if there is a glimpse of hope that it's coming alive, I'm all for it. I heard some news that the government is planting back the nutmeg. And I think it's great news. I think that should happen a long time ago. In 2008, when the NDC got into office, I was disappointed that the Prime Minister, a farmer, understand the plight of rural Grenada and did absolutely nothing to resurrect the productive sector. So I am all on board for the replanting of the spices, the resurrection of the rural economy, and that has been my favorite topic for a long time. And anyone talking about replanting the spices, resurrecting agriculture, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, June, I just wanted to add to what Michael was saying. And for those of you who don't mind me calling Michael, he knows why. But
Calling
this
me
is my
what?
problem, Mr. Baptiste. This is my problem with the NNP, yeah? That you have been in power for 23 years, I believe. 23, almost 24 years. And in that 23 years, the majority of the work that ever happened under the NNP, and this is no praise, this is no prompts to him, happened when Michael Baptiste was Minister of Agriculture. And at his depart, it seemed like NNP departed from agriculture altogether. And as Michael said, the rural economy depended highly or heavily on agriculture. St. Andrews was often called the breadbasket of Grenada. How powerful is that name today? And I'm not talking about not under the NDC, but under the NNP before they were voted out in June. How strong was that name? And this is the problem that I have with them, because here they are questioning the IMF report, but this present government has only been in office for just under 20 months. So you're expecting them to move mountains in 20 months, and you did nothing in 23 years. I mean, it is just hypocritical. And at that meeting that Auntie Emma was talking in St. Mark, I listened to her in St. Mark. I listened to her a bit in St. John last night, and my heart broke. I mean, it literally sunk, because I know Auntie Emma to be a good, outstanding citizen, a member of the religious community, and someone that I've looked up to for many, 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 many years. But as old people would say, you never really see people's behavior until you're looking at them from the outside. And now I'm looking at her behavior. I'm confused.
But
She
it's
spoke
politics. It's politics all
No,
over. I
but
mean,
no, but
in
no,
every
but
instant,
but where do you draw the line
Yeah.
from what is politics and what is reality?
Right.
Where do you draw that conclusion? Because guess what? At the end of the day, you are talking to ordinary Grenadians, ordinary hard-working Grenadians, people who gets up every single day and go out and fight for their dollar, and you're telling them things that you know to your heart is not true. You telling them things that you know to your heart is not factual in any way possible. Then what are you hoping to achieve?
Right.
What do you hope to get? Because if they put you back in power, they will come knocking. They will come asking. What are you going to say to them then? And it's unfortunate, and I know Kim has to come because Kim has to go shortly. It's unfortunate that NDC always takes government in Grenada, well, at least the last two times, at the back end of an economic crisis. In 2008, it was the beginning of the economic, well, somewhere in the economy, the collapse of the economy, the world economic crisis in 2008. And now in 2022, they took over when we are coming out of COVID, and we are dealing with a war in Ukraine and all that. And so for this government to get this kind of glowing from the IMF speaks mileage to the management of the economy. And so I expected that the opposition will say, okay, let's put politics aside. Yes, there are things that we want to see y'all do, but so fast to say y'all have done good in managing the economy. But it's a pile of lies and meandering and political tricks.
Kim, I see you smiling there, boy. It's like it's like you're taking it in with a nice smile on your face.
Yes, well, Junior, on back to Michael Baptiste's point in terms of agriculture, the government is replanting spices. So you're talking about cinnamon, pimento, nutmeg, cocoa. I mean, we can just go on and on. Clove, they're replanting that throughout the island. They also have started artificial uh, the artificial insemination, I think. Insemination in terms of breeding of animals. I think they're focused more on cows and goats and that kind of stuff. Because in that particular area, we were having real problems in getting beef around Christmas or for any festive time. We had to depend on St. Vincent or outside of Grenada to get beef or even pork, right? And Michael is in the poultry business, if I can recall correctly. He's doing a lot of work there. So the government is serious about agriculture. The amount of assistance given to farmers, yes, it can be more, but they're trying their best. The amount of training in that particular area. So I thought I should at least mention that. But coming back to the substantive conversation, the NNP is right now on a platform saying things, but we must understand why they're out there now. They are not speaking to logical, reasonable, conscious-minded Grenadians.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that, Kim? What do you mean by that?
Let me say this. The reason why the NNP is out there now is because Keith Mitchell is facing a challenge for leadership within the
In his
NNP,
party.
and as a tactical politician, he wants to hang on, and he believes if he can go on these public platforms and say all kinds of stuff, his base would then believe that he's the man working, he's the man organizing, he's the man getting the thing done, and then they would give him that that vote, and then he becomes the leader of the party again, re-elected again, and hang on for the next 10, 15 years because he wants to die in power. So it's not really about Grenada. If you listen attentively to the platform and the criticizing of the IMF report and the criticizing of the unemployment rate dropping and the criticizing of the Saudi Development Fund giving Grenada $100 million, that's about 70 million EC loan at 1.5%, and then you listen to him, and also this whole conversation about Bulaman, about LGBT this and LGBT that, and trying to tag people. And in fact, he did an excellent job in tagging Nazim Burke during his time, and he was successful. In fact, Nazim Burke's political career died, in my belief, based on the tagging and so on, but he will not be successful by trying to tag our beloved Prime Minister, and I'm making that very clear. But I want to go back to say to you, Junior, this is all about Keith Mitchell trying to hang on to power. He wants to remain there as the leader of the party because Peter David is around the place organizing his troops, organizing delegates, and Keith Mitchell is feeling somewhat shaken, afraid, and he's out there with all this kind of rhetoric. You can learn nothing from these meetings. He's just rah, 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 rah. A bitter camper out there just saying anything without facts. And you know what I am disappointed about most is the fact that Keith Mitchell is a statistician who's supposed to be speaking based on facts, based on empirical data, based on raw data. He should be the first person coming out and applaud the International Monetary Fund and endorse this report. But he's not that type of person when it comes to politics. He doesn't care. He believes that Grenadians are still living under his era. But hear this. We are no longer under analog television, black and white. You have people with smart TV, smartphone, smart watch, iPad, smart
fridge.
Fridge, stove, everything's smart these days, you know. In fact, I was in a shop and a gentleman said, I need a number for X, Y, and Z. And a 16-year-old went on his phone and just Googled the name of the business place. You know, before that, he had to go in this yellow page, I think, in the phone book.
Yes.
Get the number. And within no time, he got the number for that particular person was asking. So no longer this kind of, you have to wait for a long time to get information. It's readily available. And I am
Exactly.
you're dealing with a population, it's about what, 60 something percent, young, youthful, vibrant. They're on the ball, they're following current affairs. Look at what's going on. Look at your program, Junior. You have 700 plus people who are following this program, this conversation. Look, if you go back and you look at your insight, you would check the majority of people who are viewing and following are pretty much young people, middle-aged people who are interested, who are hungry for information. It is the same thing with my program. When I go back and I look at the insight as to where they're listening from, the age range and so on, young people are no longer serving at that table with all the grown-up men. They are now at the table as part of that discourse, and it must augur well for us. It augurs well for our country. We
Right.
should be proud of that. And I'm
Right.
extremely happy. Junior, I am saying to all Grenadians, this is our home. Me and Michael Baptiste, we may disagree on certain things. We don't always agree. Michael will tell you that. But when it comes to Grenada, when it comes to good news, I am happy for Grenada. I want good news to continue for Grenada. In fact, someone said to me, but Kem Jones, you went to Boston. Okay, I went to Boston recently, invited as journalist reporter to accompany the delegation. And they said, but Kem Jones, I saw you with Daisy Hazard. Me and Daisy, we don't agree on everything, right? She's in the union. But I was a statesman and I went to represent my country. She went to represent her country, our country, Grenada, and we did well. We never saw this as some kind of confrontation. No. And that is what you want to see in a responsible opposition. There is a need to sometimes say, boy, Grenada comes first. Country first, party after. Let us talk about the good things. Let us applaud the good things. Michael was in opposition, but there are many occasions where he actually come out publicly and acknowledge the good things that were happening in the country. Why not applaud the WASH program, for example, where you have people in this country, who have a pit latrine, outside toilet. They are now given indoor running water and a toilet and bathroom facility that they can use from inside. And I mean, it's not no old thing, classy thing. The NNP is out there criticizing that. You have the jump program where people without internet access, and we saw what happened during the COVID period, where you had children who couldn't access the internet because there were no internet, right? The government partnered with Flow, to provide internet to these homes, and all the parent or the people in that home has to pay is $20, and they get in a device, a laptop computer, and they're training them to use it. The NNP criticizing that? So I am saying, sometimes you have to sit down and think about it. Why would you criticize at least these two programs? We can go on to the free tuition support for parents and for students at TAMCC and New Law. And I'm kind of making this broad because they're becoming troublemakers, the NNP. They're becoming obstructionists. They're becoming disruptors. They're becoming haters of progress. In other words, you're criticizing so much that you don't know what you're criticizing. You have parents who have 2 and 3 children in TAMCC and New Law. They had to find that $1,620 to send their children to school. The government is absorbing that cost. The NNP should be the first to come out and commend that. In fact, who are the beneficiaries of those social safety net programs? Michael can tell you. The majority of people who are benefiting from those social safety net programs, those initiatives of the government, are really rural people, but not only rural, but folks who they consider, quote unquote, as the poor and the vulnerable.
Right.
And we can't run away from that reality.
Michael, I want you to jump in here because you've been in opposition. You've been there, right? Is it a matter that the opposition NNP right now is just criticizing just because that's what politicians in opposition do? Or do they have any genuine reason to criticize a number of these things that is seemingly, as Kim might put it, is going overwhelmingly right for the country at this point?
Well, let's put it this way. As it stands now, I don't think we should paint a rosy picture all around about the state of affairs. some parts of the country are doing a lot better than some parts of the country.
Right.
If you look at the IMF report, there's reasons to be concerned as well. It says that there's growth in the CBI, growth in construction. It made no mention about agriculture, which is our food security. In 2 or 3 years, there will be some changes with the CBI program as um, as mandated by Washington. So maybe 2 or 3 years from now, we may see a drop in revenue in the CBI. So I think this now is the time that we have to look seriously at our food security. We have to ensure that we cut down on on the huge food import bill. We have to be careful too that should in case of another pandemic, what happened to us the last time around never happen again. Um, the opposition is criticizing the report because it gains traction on the ground with some people. Let's face it, inflation. Not long ago, the government went back to the pre-COVID formula, and they reduced on the CIF on basic commodity goods coming into the country. And that was a good thing. Unfortunately, when the goods hit the shelf, the consumer did not benefit from the good gesture of the government. I don't know whether it was lack of price control or monitoring of the situation, but when you go into the supermarket today, you can see a sharp increase in basic commodities. So I think that is something that any government should be concerned about, and
Right.
systems have to be put in place how we could bolster our food security so we could stop depending on the imports and we could lower the cost of living for Grenadians, especially those at the bottom of the economic ladder, because the costs of basic commodities keep rising daily. We can't
Well,
get
and,
away.
and that's not only Grenada. Eh? I remember I was in Barbados last year, and it was a hurricane, and I went in there, and by the time I turned twice, I spent $500, and I came out with a little bag of stuff. Even in the US, yeah, I go to Costco. I remember going into Costco and spending $500, $600, $700, and my cart full to the tumbling over. I went shopping
Exactly.
yesterday. I spent just the same amount of money, and I'm like, yo, what's happening here? So we have to put it into perspective that it's not only the Caribbean region alone affected by it. This is a universal thing all over. Dwight, I want you to speak about what you see here when you look at what the former administration, the former prime minister, and the former minister of education is saying here in pushing back on the IMF report and basically painting this to a dire picture of the whole economy. Things are going to get so bad, and even projecting that election might be called soon. You're sweating that we're in some kind of mode of election, like election we'll call like next year or so. What's your take on it? Do you think that would gain traction over time with the approach?
I think the matter of if it's going to gain traction is left to be seen. I think, however, what the opposition is attempting to do is one. I think they're trying to kill two birds with one stone, or many birds with one stone. The reality is, if you go back in history, by the time the previous NDC government was in power, almost 2 years, there were already some level of instability going on, and it already began to rumor that there were issues within the party relating to leadership and so on and so forth. And of course, the NNP meddling in terms of how the economy was managed back then, and in terms of how government workers, public servants, let's be real, the feeding of information to the opposition at the time, and how the opposition was a key player in certain national decisions. And then we know for a fact during the election campaign, the now Honorable Lennox Andrew detailed in a video I still have, where he said that there's no way salaries could be late, and it's something that I championed when I was in the newsroom. That is not happening now. That is not happening now. Clearly, it's not happening now. And as my Lord brother Kim was saying, the former prime minister and some of his surrogates around him is frightened. They are they're not sleeping well. They are concerned because one of their very own is knocking on the door of leadership, and that is giving them nightmares. That is giving the former prime minister nightmare. If you know the former prime minister, you know him well, you would know by how he speak. You know, he said in St. John, he said in St. Mark's, I ain't going no way. Don't worry about who come in and tell you, I say I will do this, and I'll say. There's no way, there's no reason for him to say that if it's not actually true. There are people in this party that are calling for him to step down. It's time for him to step down, you know, because what it has become for them is a bread and butter issue. They are feeling what they had caused on some of the very own NDC people over the past decade or so. You know, they begin to feel that the weight of the economic strain. I watched a Lord brother as he was praying last night in Guava, and I said, boy, the boy lose weight, you know. And so so that's one. They're trying to mount up support and see where they are on the ground. Unfortunately, St. Patrick's bus, St. Mark's bus, St. John seemed like get a little bit more crowd, but not significant. So I don't know where they're going with that.
Right.
But the reality is, Grenadians are not following this political conversation as presented by the former prime minister. We are smarter now. We are brighter, you know, and exposing who get loan to do what and who do what and who do what. If anybody knows, it's and probably Micheal could bear me out on this. It's a customary thing in NNP. If you join the NNP party and you run for a seat and you won, the first thing the Prime Minister, Keith Micheal, I'm not talking about our most honorable Prime Minister, first thing that Keith Micheal would tell you is to go get a loan, build a house, buy a car. That's the first thing he would tell you, right?
Well, we don't know that for a fact. Are we making us?
It was detailed by
Okay.
Honorable Delma Thomas.
Okay.
When she came out, she said it.
She said okay.
He said it, and she also said that she told some of her colleague sisters, you know, how to manage in the event that they don't win the election, how to manage their finances, that they will have something to go by. Because of course, and as mentioned last night in the meeting, the salaries for parliamentarians is low. So what I'm saying is, why is it right for the NNP and wrong for NDC? I'm not saying that any loan is a bad thing or a good thing. What I'm saying is, why is it wrong for some people but right for some people? And so this is what is happening. And the third thing is that they're trying to create instability. They're trying to create instability in the country. They're trying to get people all riley up among them so they can go to the streets and start protesting and calling out the government and saying the government do this and the government do it. Because if one thing that we're not afraid
but protesting for what? Like what? Protesting for what?
Exactly, and that is the reason why they are questioning the IMF report. They're questioning the drop in the unemployment rate. But I want to make a point on the unemployment rate. Grenada, as many of its as well as many of the Southern Caribbean partners, or OECS partners, the economy thrives on construction, and NNP knows this all too well. So when you have construction upon construction projects happening within the country, the employment rate is going to fall, and it's going to fall drastically. We have a situation in Grenada now where a lot of tradesmen, a lot of construction companies are struggling to find tradesmen. You're questioning me? Go on now, Grenada. Go on jobs in Grenada, and you would see that they're now putting out ads asking for painters, asking for carpenters, asking for masons. Go check it out yourself.
Right.
And that tells you that our construction workers, my stepfather is 65 and he's working.
Right.
And I have to keep telling the man, slow down. You know, that tells you that if construction is booming, or if construction is happening at any level, the employment rate is going to drop. Not only that. Over the past few weeks and months, at least for the past year, and Kem could bear me out on this, there have been a lot of vacancies being advertised all over Grenada for different positions. and within 2-3 days, you see the vacancy disappear.
Yeah, but I
Because
have some
they
vacancies as well myself for a new enterprise.
and,
But
and,
hold
and
on,
only that.
stick up
No,
in there, right? Stick up in there, right? Because we really need to strain for time. We have a call on the line. Caller live. Where are you calling us from?
Good night, Junior. I'm calling from um no, with regards to the unemployment rate, I myself, when I saw it at first, I was like, how did they really come up with that? Like, was a survey done? But what I can say is that it's the first time since I know myself, I've seen so many ads advertised on Facebook, you're hearing it on the radio. So I'm assuming, I guess that must be because there's a shortage of finding available individuals to work. But really, why I called with regards to the topic and the IMF report, I'd like to ask Mr. Baptiste to be a bit more detailed when he said that he wants to see more. He did give a little bit more information, but I want him to have his time and give more details on what exactly does he want to see happening in the rural economy. As someone from Grenville myself, and Grenville is like a ghost town, and I'm not blaming this administration, the past administration, because I've been trying to figure it out myself, like what really caused that. Like Grenville is like dead, and it's not. No, it has been dying and it's dead. So I'd like to ask him what are some suggestions that he has for this administration, or maybe not administration, private companies, individuals that would want to help.
Okay.
What are some and that's it from
For Grenville. All right, caller. Thanks. Mr. Baptiste?
A very good question. I think she put the ball right on the wicket. But the reason why we witness slow economic activities in Grenada is because of the loss of the agricultural dollar. And let's face it, Grenada used to be number 1, number 2 in exporting of nutmeg. We are now down to number 8 and number 9. There was a time when there was over 300 people employed by GCNA, and these people got a salaries and they interact, and that money spent. We have lost the cocoa dollar. We have lost the banana dollar. After Ivan, the government of the day, at that time, failed to resurrect our rural economy. If you look at the nutmeg receiving stations, you would notice that most of them now are closed, or the Ton Dance Hall, or so on. We see now cabbage and agriculture products coming from Canada. We had a very bad year in terms of the weather. So in order to get St. Andrews and other rural economy moving again, we have to go back to the basics and develop the agriculture sector. St. Andrews, St. Patrick's, parts of St. David's are all part of the agriculture belt. And in the last 15 years, we have lost that significant dollar, that turning around of that spinning of that dollar on a day-to-day basis. Folks going into the land, getting nutmeg, going to the GCNA, getting something, getting cocoa, minor spices and so on. We've lost that. And therefore, we have seen the downturn. We have seen banks have left Grenada. Banks who are the long-term economic forecasters, they have left, and so on. And no government have made any serious effort to resurrect that rural economy. I mean, I had serious issues with the former government because they was in a position to do more for the rural economy than they have done. And they failed to replant the productive sector. They treat agriculture with benign neglect, and the chicken is coming home to roost. As I heard earlier that this government is making an effort to replant nutmeg, and that should be encouraged.
Right.
St. Andrews, on the whole, is an agricultural base, and we have to go back to agriculture. There's a lot of farmers that are hurting. They are hurting because of the high cost of inputs, feed. There are some livestock farmers that have gone out of business because they cannot afford the high price of the feed and fertilizer from our local entities.
Yes.
We have an agreement where we have a system where we have a monopoly on feed.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
it's time that we look at the monopoly, see if he has served us well. Did the other side comply with the terms and conditions of of that monopoly? Or is it time to open up the market, have free trade where liberalize the feed industry where people
Right.
can bring in feed from outside so we can help develop the livestock industry? That's
Michael, I don't want to cut you, but we're running. Kem, I don't know if how we going because I know you have an obligation on your program as well.
Right. No, we can continue
We
because I actually streaming the program on my
Okay,
platform.
thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
So, Mike, great point, right? But people are saying, I just saw someone on the live just said that, what kind of Grenada are you talking about? Oh, we're not living in the same Grenada. You're talking about major economic development, the IMF talking about the economy is booming and all of these things and people having money and stuff like that. But that doesn't trickle down to the normal man. When would the normal man actually start to see that? Because I get the feeling, the impression that people say, okay, you know what? Instead of the government flying to Dubai and flying to other places to look for economical development, to look for funds out there, you should take that money and go around Grenville and give everybody $50. Like people don't understand the trickle-down system and trickle-down effect. Explain it, Kim. When would the normal man start to see those trickle-down effects of everything that's happening?
Well, Junior, we do not print money, right? As a country, we do not print money. As a result, the government has to go out there to find money or assistance. As a result, the Prime Minister, ministers of government, they will be out there and they have to use their negotiating skills to get resources. I was very pleased with the fact that they engaged the Grenadian population in giving a report, an update on what they were able to achieve when they went out there. During the NNP time, we must
Never
say
happened.
here, that never took place. They were traveling, they were going about their own business, and we never knew anything. All of a sudden, we are living, we are existing in a new type of governance, and the word these days is come to us, consult and everything. Well, the government is actually reporting. They're telling you what they were able to achieve, where they went, who they met, and why they're doing all of this. But here it is. I want to come back to the point that Dwight was making. And I want to say a good dancer knows when to get down the stage. Because that applause then becomes boos. And that is what we are seeing now. I want to say further, the economy must be driven, and that's to Michael's point, must be driven by the private sector. The NNP supporters have been taught that if government ends giving you money, if government not giving you a roadwalk, if government not giving the debution or the local construction this year or whatever all around the place, then nothing is happening. No jobs are being created. No opportunities are being created. But you have business places, as both your guests stated, they're asking for workers, right? So the private sector is faring well. Businesses are expanding, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, larger businesses. That is what you want in an economy like Grenada. I am no economist, but common sense will tell you, you do not want the government to be the main employer in the country. You want hotels to open and hire people. You have Six Senses in St. David. The construction is still taking place. They only recently had interviews for, the whole operational aspect of it. You have Kiwana Bay Resort, or that hotel that property you were able to get back very soon. Something would start there again. Schools are being constructed. Things are happening. So I am saying once it's driven by the private sector, it augurs well for Grenada because government could focus on other things. We hear about the new climate smart teaching hospital facility that will happen very soon. So I mean, the whole outlook is very positive, and I pray and hope that the private sector drives the whole developmental process. Let's have them do this, And I think it will be good for Grenada. Let our people understand, yes, government will not abandon the debushing program. In fact, they have 4 fortnights ongoing now. I think they're at the second or the third. The second, right? 4 fortnights. So people are getting work. The new Imani training program, that continues. The geriatric caregivers program, that continues. The seed program, the poor relief assistance program, that continue. And then we can go to the many different programs. They continue with those programs, but those programs were meant to be a kind of temporary or a program that you graduate out of. So once opportunities come to you, you should grab it up, take it, and make the best use of it. Our people must know, Junior, that's a very important point, that the government cannot mine you. So you sit on your lazy self, waiting on the government to mine you, mine your children. So they have to provide for your children, provide for you. And the minute time it's not coming, you vex, you blue. That is what the NNP taught their supporters. The majority of NNP supporters, and I have to say this here straight up because you know me, I'm very frank. The majority of NNP supporters, they believe that the government needs to mind them. So what you see in those houses where NNP exists, and some people may not like it, but that's the reality, a whole pile of children. So because if the woman realizes, or the man, well, boy, the government is taking care of me, paying my bills, sending my children to school. Every month I could go and collect $300, $400, $500 in poor relief assistance and so on. All they do is to make plenty. And then it becomes a burden on society, becomes a burden on government. And then they turn around and say, well, government doesn't mind them, government doesn't take care of them. That is what the NNP taught these people. But right now, they have to work for it. They have to work for it. I gave an analogy, and I don't want to be too long on the program. I had a nephew here living with me where I am. 3 bedrooms. So, my studio occupied one, and then I had a free one, and then my family in one. Pretty okay, comfortable. So I brought my nephew because, he lives on the western side. I say, boy, if you come by me here, you walk in the hotel, it will cost you less, right? Well, you've been here for quite a while. And then 2 at an event at my place, at my lawn right here. And I overheard him say, well, telling some friends, well, I ain't have to work, I'm sorry, not no work. I ain't have to pay, I ain't have no bills to pay. Just like that. So you're telling colleagues, but I ain't have no bills to pay, I ain't say nothing. Junior, I ain't say a word. All I did, I say, all right. So you're not responsible at all because I have to find it to pay it. So I say, well, when he charging the phone, I say, my brother, remove the charger. When the light on in the room, I start to cut off the light. When you have to cook on the stove, I said, nah, man, you have to go and get buy a gas. 3 gas cylinder is okay. You have yours. When you have to go in the fridge, I say, hold it down because I have bills to pay. And I start, when he's in the pipe and I say, the water running, you have to. So I start to show things at it to say, boy, you got to be responsible. When the internet is on and doing the internet stuff, I say, brother, I'm going to cut off my internet now, and so on. After a while, he start taking a plan from Digicel or Flow. He has to pay a bill on the month end. He moved back to my mother's place. I said to her, make sure that he pays the water bill and let the other sister pay the electricity because I have been doing that for quite a while. But I'm saying all of this to say that we must make these people. Look at Micheal Baptiste. He busting his tail out, working hard. He tell me come and visit his farm and so on. I come in. I want to see what's going on with him. Hopefully I might be able to invest something. You never know. I mean, you're right. But I'm saying he understands that you have to inculcate in our people that you have to be responsible. You have to understand. You have to work, produce for you, your family, your community. And I think that is what the government has ushered in, a new type of governance to say to people, I'm not going to just give you a hand out, but I'm going to give you a hand up. An opportunity for you to exist, for you to survive with you and your family. I think that's a very salient point.
Yeah. We'll come to Dwight on this, right? Because this is still a factor. This is still something that is bouncing around, and it's now like a political football. The question of housing and the question of low-income housing and people that have been given this housing. I even heard, I don't know if it was Bola or somebody who said that the people in the diaspora, they're waiting to buy these houses. And that is so far from the truth as far as I understand this whole thing here. But he's saying in a way that the housing are just being set up for the people with money from the diaspora to come in and acquire these houses so they could establish the fact that they do know they have residence in Grenada. So when time for election, they have a residence so they could vote. So he was saying that, and people was actually cheering. But I'm like, that don't, come on. Most people from the diaspora, they have family there, they have house, they have residence there already. And secondly, it doesn't work like that. Like someone can just come from the diaspora and purchase a house in low income housing. That is not the facts, right? So it's a lot of information that is circulating, and I wish and I hope and I pray that a member of the New National Party would have come on this program here. We did invite Mr. Dabrio on today. He did give me extend that he would be here, but then after he got caught in a project that he was doing a certain part of the island, and he would not be able to be here at this time. He would delay. But I want that engagement because I want to ask these questions, right? We need to start talking to each other and not about each other. So I would love to have these questions answered, and we can't get it answered if you guys don't come on the program. So again, we have an open forum for you to come and do so. So Dwight, to that point, and I want you to also speak on the fact that, so I want you to speak on the housing, but I also wanted to speak on the fact that Kem said earlier that the delegates should try to do whatever they need to do to get rid of Dr. Keith Micheal. My perspective is if the delegates want to keep voting him in, let them keep voting him in. That's the NNP decision, not Kem decision, not my decision, not anybody else's decision. However, someone said to me that...
No, Junior, I think you got that wrong.
Okay.
Because I would love for Keith Micheal to remain there so he can get...
Remain.
Wait. So that was saying... So, okay,
so he can get more licks and more licks and more licks.
So somebody said... What I was saying, somebody said to me, the biggest liability right now, or the best thing NDC have right now, one of the best things that they have right now is having Dr. Keith Micheal there. It's a liability on the NNP. So Dwight, I want you to speak on that. Do you see that as a liability to the party? And also speak on the housing thing there. And Kem, I know you want to come in and interject as well.
But I would love to hear Michael's...
Yes. Dwight, do you want to yield to Michael, or you want to take that one?
I want to. Yeah, Ali.
Okay, Michael, let's talk about the housing first. The housing situation first. Low housing, no housing. You heard the whole preamble to that question there. What's your thoughts? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah,
we
go
have
ahead.
a problem with the banks in Grenada. The banking system. The banking system is a problem. To open an account in a bank in Grenada is a daunting task.
Yes.
To get a loan in Grenada, you may have to bring in your great-great-grandmother to stand security for you. We have to look at the banking system and the opportunity that it affords ordinary Grenadians.
Yes.
It's not like in the USA where you can get an FHA loan, Federal Housing Association backed loan.
Authority, right.
Based on your income. It's not a situation where if you work somewhere for a few years, you're qualified for a loan. Number one, the banks discriminate against people. You could be too old to get a loan. When you're over 45, it's difficult to get a loan in Grenada. The banks don't want to give you a loan for housing. And that have to change. We have to look at the banking laws and amend the banking laws and make it as such they remove that discriminatory clause.
Right.
And we do it in a way in conjunction with government where they take risk.
But speak specifically to the low-income housing.
Right. How could a low-income person purchase a low-income home without the assistance of the banks? The banks, that's the deterrent. The banks must be more conducive in assisting Grenadians. They have to take more risk in the development of the country. If you notice now, a young man could walk into the bank and get a loan for a car. Can he get a loan to buy a quarter of an acre of land? No, it's easier. I passed by the bank some time ago and I see they're dressing up a car by the bank. They encourage young people to come and get loans. And government must sit with the bank and come up with a plan where we have a government loan guarantee where young people could afford homes. It is just impossible today. A 4-inch block now is almost $5. A 1 yard of sand from St. Andrews to St. George's is $800. A bag of cement now is $30. It is impossible for young people today to own homes. So we have to tailor a plan that catering to the needs of the low income owner. If not, they become a problem.
But isn't that the idea? Isn't that the idea with this situation where you're telling you have a property that worth over $200,000, a house, an apartment, and you're saying, okay, so you get in that apartment for $75,000 with an equity of over $150,000 on that particular property. Now, if you as a low income earner go in and you get a loan for that $75,000 and you buy that house immediately have $150,000 in equity on it.
Providing you have, first of all, you must have the capital in order for you to get the equity. Because if you don't have the capital to purchase the house, you can't have the equity. The equity comes in after you're in possession of it. Okay? Now, it is difficult today to access loans from the banks. Banks are not lending young people money to build homes, except you're in a government job. And that have to stop. So it is now is the time where the government have to look at the Banking Act, look at the situation, the relationship between the banks and the low-income earners, and put systems in place that where government may guarantee a loan, we may have some government guaranteed loans. If not, a poor man can't own a house today. It's impossible. When looking at owning a home, you have to look at the lands. Anywhere you can see a telephone post now, the land is $15 to $18 per square foot in some places in US. To build a home now, a 2-family house, where the cost of living, no construction materials, you're talking about $300,000-$400,000. A person earning $1,000 or $1,500, how on earth today can they afford that? It's just impossible. So we have to have a serious plan as to how we meet the needs of people on the bottom of the economic ladder. Whether you give them a guarantee, you give your rent with an option to buy. How you do it? You extend the life of the loan to 50 years instead of the 20 years that the commercial banks are now given. You see, banks today in Grenada, they are partially responsible for rural decay. They take no risk in agriculture. They take no risk in lending homes. As a matter of fact, you try to open up you and I can stay on the phone here right now and call Citibank or Capital Bank in the United States, give them our information, and we will have a card sent to our home because we open up a new account. You go to a bank in Grenada and try to open up an account. So if it is so difficult for a poor person, a working man, and if you talk about the underground economy, if you can't prove how you're working, there are people selling snow cone outside. There are people out here selling ripe fig, doing a little hustle in the underground economy. And to go into that bank today and open up an account is just about impossible. We have to look at that. Gone are the days when we had banks like the Penny Bank who accommodate Grenadians and allow Grenadians to and encourage them win savings. That's gone.
Right.
So the first thing we need to do before we talk about ownership, we have to look at who's going to give the mortgage. Is it a government guarantee mortgage? And if it's the banks, then we have to talk to the banks.
Right. Dwight, comment on that one. And Kim, I wanted to jump on it because I thought that in this conversation of the low-income housing, government did have some guarantees as it relates to owning those houses. Dwight, jump on it, and I know Kim would have some information for that.
Yeah, let me just make two points. As Michael was speaking, I was actually reminded of these 2 points. One is that this present government, under the distinguished leadership of Senator Claudette Joseph, is dealing with the
minimum wage.
Minimum wage. Thank you. The minimum wage in Grenada. And what that says is that when you look at the minimum wage, you're looking at the price of commodity versus the rate of P. And that is very critical. And And as a matter of fact, Grenada is the only country so far in the Caribbean, and I have checked, who is actually doing, I'm taking a look at minimum wage in this post COVID period. That's one. Two, the Prime Minister, Honorable Decon Micheal, the most Honorable Decon Micheal, has said in the campaign, after the campaign, and up to recently, that the issue with the bank is something that his government is going to deal with. He said that. Kim could back me on this, and I know Michael could back me on it. He said it. He said he mentioned in a meeting during the campaign, the first time he raised it, he said to open a bank account in Grenada is literally a nightmare. And they seriously, and he even alluded to the point that this is not a Grenada thing, this is a regional thing. And after these banks would have raped and abused us, they pull out. They pull out and they pull out of the region, and they gone about their business and left in their wake economies that are either struggling or totally collapsed. And that's the reality, right? But the point I really want to make, and I want to agree with Michael in the sense that when he said that the banks are partially responsible, or let me not say partial, and this is Dwight's view here. I believe that the bank is responsible for what is happening within our sector in Grenada, our economy. I'm not an economist. I can't give you figures, but when you have a situation where the majority of your labor, most of your labor, or a significant percent of your labor is unskilled, where you have a situation, and this is one of the reasons why the Caribbean single market and economy is still a theory and has not yet come to fruition, because most of the workers in CARICOM, right? You're talking about our carpenters, painters, and so on. They did not go to school to learn it. They inherited the trade sometimes and were trained by older folks in their family or somebody in the community that taught them. Now, when these painters go out and they work and they paint our homes beautifully and they collect their $20,000-$30,000 for the job that they do, and they take these to the bank, the first question the bank wants is proof of income, where you get the money from. And then these same painters, some of those who are not educated, right? They don't know what to do, how to do it, how to go about now ascertaining the information that will prove that they earn this by their job. Some of them, their businesses are not even registered, right? And I know we had GIDC and so on who have been helping with that, but some of them don't even know where to go. And so what you find happening is that they have these monies in their hands, and when you have money in hand, guess what happens? Spend it out. And so when you spend out the money, 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road now, you may have built a house, you may have bought a car, you may have bought a piece of land, but you didn't put away nothing for your retirement. You didn't save a little something. And a lot of the times, these contractors, these skilled people, skilled men and women around us, they end up in all kinds of relationships. They have children here, children there, children the other place, and they're not properly managed. And the question goes back: who is responsible to teach them financial literacy?
Right.
Who is responsible to teach them money management? Who is responsible? Is it the government? No. It is the same financial institution, it's the same banking industry that should be responsible to teach. Now, I remember when I was in primary school, we used to have this thing called Savings Union. But somehow when I got to secondary school, it disappeared. I think it totally disappeared now. But teaching our people how to save and to put away a one or two little penny is very critical.
Yeah,
I remember
it kind of that is a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember when I finished school, and I had the unfortunate displeasure of having to be a political worker. I remember that an older man in my community pulled me aside one day. I was coming from work, and I was all decked up, wearing my shirt and tie and looking on. And he said to me, he said, "Young man, let me tell you something. It's all well and good to look good. It's all well and to wear the nice tie and the shirt and stuff. But make sure you're putting aside a two penny some way that you can turn back to." And I took that old man's advice and I went to the Union Cooperative Bank and I opened an account. which was the easiest bank at the time to open an account. And I started putting a little $5, a little $10. And when the government changed and I lost my job, I had a little $10, a little $5 to go back to.
Right.
But who is teaching our young people that now? Right?
True.
And as Micheal said, it's easier to get, and this is not just Green, it's all over the region. It's easy to get a loan to buy a car, but it's not easy to get a mortgage because they have so many questions. Life expectancy, and if you're a man, make it worse. They want you to take out all kinds of insurance and all kinds of things because they expect you to dead. Let's be real. They expect the man to, so they want the man to take out all kinds of insurance here and in life insurance and health insurance. They probably want insurance for your toe and your teeth and everything between that.
Right.
And so one thing about young people, they don't like frustration. They don't like things that make them uneasy. So they're not going for the mortgages, right? I remember telling a young man just last week, and I'm closing with this. I remember telling a young man just the other day, I said, brother, the government, under the previous government, built his mother a house, and they put it on stilts. Good house, nice house. And I said to him, I said, brother, your mother have a hole open downstairs, you know? He said, what do you mean? I said, brother, you live in your mother upstairs. Your mother have a hole open downstairs. This is somebody I went to school with. I said, go and build in your mother downstairs. He said to me, he said, boy, I said, brother, go and build in the downstairs. Come with an agreement. Go to a lawyer. Get an agreement signed up. Build in the downstairs. I said, you are renting, and which is good if you could afford it, yes. But if you take that income that you're putting into renting, that a lot of mostly rent is all 1,000 plus these days. If you take that money and you save half of that, and you live in your mother downstairs for 5 years, in 10 years, 5-10 years, you can build your own house and you have the down payment for a mortgage and even start to pay your mortgage while the house is building. You even could advance payments on your mortgage because you save. I said you have to think futuristic. Don't know if you take my advice.
That's one thing. That's one thing I think is a big failure. Teaching that, especially in schools. But let's jump to the phone lines real quick. Also, guys, let me just give you a programming note. You're watching Right Along Live, a little bit extended version. We have Kem Jones. We have, of course, Mr. Micheal Baptiste and Dwight Sampson. And we're talking about basically development. So we're speaking about with the IMF report, but we're talking about development and ideas for development, right? And also, I also want to take this opportunity to wish you guys and invite you guys to an event that's happening on the 2nd of December, which is this Saturday in New York. Kem Jones is going to be here, and we have just a few tickets on sale. Kem just alerted me on WhatsApp that just a few tickets remain. So if you want to be at that event in New York City, it's only $40. It's you could click on that link that is just pasted in the chat and purchase it right now, because probably after the show there may not be any tickets left, right? So we want you to do that right now, or give us a call and we'll get that available for you. Let's jump to the phone line. We got a call on the line. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Good evening. I'm calling from Grenada.
Grenada, go right ahead.
Yeah, good evening to your panelists. I would like to agree with Mr. Baptiste.
Yes.
100% on how difficult it is to access banks for financing and even to open an account. I would like to agree with him 100%. But I think the question in my mind that was posed to the panelists is in connection with the low-income housing program.
Yes.
Now, with the low-income, right, well, I don't think he really addressed that. Because with the low-income housing program, according to what was said from the housing authority, they would vet applicants, and then after vetting them, if they decide they're qualified, they would send them to a lending institution that comprises banks, credit unions, and the National Insurance Scheme, and they would get a mortgage of between 20 to 30 years at an increase rate not exceeding 5%. And they have institutions that have signed on to that already, right? And the repayment is as high, I don't think it's as high as $400. And $400 in my mind is that somebody who may qualify to get one of the units, that may be the rent that they are currently paying. It's just a
Right.
matter of transfer. And if the person is with a spouse or a partner and the aggregate income is a little over $2,000, I think that's easy for them. And lastly, January, the minimum wage acts would come on stream. And that would give people a little extra income to make it would be more affordable for them to get involved with the low income housing program, which I think is an excellent program because you literally guarantee a loan from the bank. You're paying basically what you're paying on rent, you're paying for that property would give you, like you said, Junior, equity,
Yes.
serious equity. So I think that is good. I mean, that is good. But then your other panelists there, not Kim, the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Deacon Micheal, has been bemoaning the situation with opening accounts in bank and the conditions now that exist in a bank. And one of the things that make it easy for people to walk in to get a loan for a car, in case they default on the loan, the car is repossessed and it's easily sold. You repossess it Friday evening, Monday morning somebody come for it.
Yes.
So that's how it is. But the whole financial situation in terms of the development of Grenada, it is very tough, really tough. For young people now, it is very, very, very tough. I mean, to get a mortgage in a bank is like they say, it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very difficult.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
thank
agree.
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you so much, caller. Kim, I want you to jump in right here, right? Because as it relates to the housing situation, the low income housing situation, right? I think that a lot of people are kind of misunderstanding the idea of the low housing and the low income and no income housing. Explain from your understanding, you have a vast understanding of this project right here. How is this more beneficial for people who are maybe considered, I'm not going to use that word, but low income? How is that beneficial for someone?
Right. So Junior, it's very clear that the government wants our people to own something, to own a home, to own piece of land. And my mind goes back to that program that they have now where they're giving people who live on crown lands security of 10-year, or not just 10-year, but securing a piece of land, right? Owning something. You've been there 10 years on government land, you can now own it. They're going to make sure that you get a deed and a plan and go through the process, pay for it if you have to pay for it, but own it. But because there are a lot of people who have been on government land and they just can't own it, so they can't go to no bank, they can't go nowhere. And that's a good thing. With the apartments from Housing Authority, remember, you had people who were occupying apartments before under the previous administration, and they were not paying the monthly amount. So if it's the $150 or the $200 that they agreed to pay, they were not paying that. And as a result, Housing Authority had to find money, borrow money to repair the facility, to maintain the facility, and so on. After a while, the facility will run down, start to leak and molds and painting and railing mash up and just name it. So what the government decided to do with the 600 and something houses or apartments is to say, okay, you apply for one, let us interview you, let us check you out, and let us engage the lending institutions so that you can get a loan at a reduced interest rate, and that you can now own that apartment by getting the money from the bank or the credit union, the $70,000 or the 50-something thousand dollars, I think $53,000 or so. You're going to get that money from them. You're going to come and you go pay us for the apartment. The apartment belongs to you, but of course, you have to pay the bank or the credit union. If you fail to pay the credit union, then you know what would happen to you. You have a greater responsibility now, because when the government gave you the apartment and entered into an agreement with you, you fail to pay on a monthly basis. Because you say, well, it's government, man. Why should I pay? They paid for 6 months, 7 months, and they told me party in power, I don't need to pay. And then you had a lot of delinquents, people not being compliant, they're not meeting the commitments and so on. And the facilities had to run down. What the government decided now to do with housing authorities, say, look, you can own your own apartment, own your own home, but you must go to the financial institution. We're making it easy for you because we have engaged the financial institutions and they agreed to give you the loan at X, Y, and Z once you qualify. Right? So pay that $200 or that $300 to the financial institution and let them give us the money lump sum and you have your property. That's a good thing. Owning your own apartment, owning your own home, owning your own land. I think the government is on the right track, in my opinion. I want to make a point here. The government, because Michael spoke about it's difficult for people to get loans, and I agree with him. The government is doing something about that, where they're regularizing public officers. And once you're regularized, then you have a letter from the Public Service Commission stating that you're a permanent employee and you now can go to the bank or the credit union and get a loan, access a loan, which is a good thing if you ask me, right? So that's a point that I wanted to bring forward to make here that the government is actually what needs to be done. I agree. They need to engage the banks, credit unions, and so on, because it's just too difficult to open an account here. But I believe the reason why we are in this mess is because under the NNP, Cap Bank, not Co-op Bank, Cap Bank, set up all kind of liquor bank all around Grenada. When the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank told them, don't give DeBog and don't give these guys any license to open any bank. DeBog had a little shoe store somewhere on Hillsborough Street there, right? Don't give them. The NNP went ahead and gave DeBog a license to open Cap Bank, and they opened all about the place. People were running in there to open an account with high interest rates and so on. And two people lost their money because of NNP's bad management, bad judgment, and recklessness. Their wanton behavior. We lost millions and millions. In fact, taxpayers' money had to be used, and I think that was illegal, to be used to pay the folks, $500 and under. So there are a lot of people who are still waiting for their money, who put their money in that bank. So that could be a reason why it's a bit more difficult to open an account, and there's scrutiny and due diligence and check. You need to bring this and bring that. But again, I believe something needs to be done to ease up the burden on people who want to open a little savings account, open something in the bank. You just need too many documents and too many things to back up to get it. But again, and Michael might know very well about the Cap Bank, and folks, don't confuse yourself. Co-op Bank is totally different, a reliable, solid, good bank. I'm talking about Cap Bank, right? That's something that Michael might be able to talk about.
Right. Yeah, I'll come to you, Dwight. But Michael, I want to talk about this.
Junior, I need to say also that the program is carried on Vibes 101.3 FM and 106.3 FM, because normally I'm on around this time. So we are on radio. I just checked a while ago.
Okay.
We're on radio as it started from 8. So we're on radio for the hour.
So good night to the folks that's listening at 96. What, 96?
106.3 FM.
106.3 FM.
101.3 FM.
I want to big up yourself. Thanks for listening and thanks for locking in. This is Ride Along Live, and we are combining with Kim Jones' program at this point in time to bring this program to you live. We're talking about development in Grenada, specifically with the IMF and the report that they brought. But now we're speaking right now about housing and the housing situation. Dwight, I'll come to you. But Michael, I want to ask you this question. I want to go back on this question that I asked earlier. During the first phase of the housing, the low-income housing that was given, the Chinese housing, right? The government had a plan to allocate these houses to individuals, and they were paying housing authority, or they're supposed to pay housing authority. However, 80%, there was an 80% non-compliance. So 80% of the people did not pay these the money to the housing authority. As a result, this houses that them was run down. Like the posts, everything breaking up, the roof leaking, real mess. It's a real mess because they ain't paying for it, and housing authority 400 million or 4 million or whatever due in funds, and they couldn't do anything either. So this government came in and they instituted the the new phase where no, when you want these houses, you have to go to the bank. You have to. They're not going to do the same thing because that didn't work. No, from your perspective, from where you sit, looking at these two ideas, right? Which one do you think is better, a better fit for the for people, especially in the low income bracket, not no income, the low income bracket?
All right. One of the first things that we need to do is to stabilize the working man, the workforce. Too many times we have people working under one government, another government comes in, and they lose their job. As a result of that uncertainty, the banks is reluctant to loan monies to people that's not covered, that's not by the Public Service Commission. There are lots of people that working and yet still, according to the banks, they don't have a job. Okay, because they can't go to the banks. Even courts would not even give them a little credit. So we need to stabilize that. If a person works with government for a period of time, whether 2 years or whatever, under any government, that person must be given some type of job security. It is not a situation where this government comes in. When I say this government, I'm not talking about the present government. A government comes in, and when they leave, half of the population becomes unemployed. In situations like that, it creates instability because these people can't get their lives together because of the job situation. So first, we must standardize things here. If a person is working with government for a number of years, we have to say that they're permanent. They don't have to be permanent with the Public Service Commission, but we see them as a permanent worker. So the bank recognize them as that. In terms of low income, and I always puzzle with that. What is a low income earner today, really? Is it a person who earns $2,000? Well, the majority of people in Grenada workers in Grenada earn $2,000 or less. And if you're talking about a $75,000 mortgage, and you do the maths with the cost of living today, a single woman, head of household with children, and you do the maths, it is difficult for a single woman, even earning $2,000 a month, to afford a $75,000 house.
But that was the same thing that it was paying, and sometimes even less or within that range
Sometimes they're
in
paying
phase
and
one.
sometimes they don't pay. You see, with government, you could pay now and again. With the banks, you have to do it on a regular basis. If not, you're going to
But
fraud.
Michael, when in government, if you don't pay for the housing, government is not who is paying for it, and it's taxpayers. So
Right.
if for instance, someone lived for the rest of the years, 6, 7 years, and they decided not going to pay for their living condition, whether it's $200, they just decided not going to pay. At the end of the day, is you, taxpayers, Kem, and everybody else that live in Grenada that pay their taxes that actually subsidizing people on inability or unwillingness to
I
pay
understand. I
their living
understand all
condition.
of that. At the time, we have a housing crisis in Grenada for low-income people, and we must find a way to build low-income housing that could accommodate people earning $2,000 or less. And someone going into a $200,000 loan, a person earning $2,000 or less, can't satisfy a mortgage of a house at $250,000. Number one, when you look at the interest, number one, when you look at the terms and condition of that mortgage and the lifespan of that mortgage, it's just impossible. A $200,000 home, you would have to pay roughly $1,200 to $1,500 a month. A person earning $2,000 a month, how in heaven's name are they going to do it? So we
And that
have
is
to
why,
devise a plan.
and Michael, that is why, without cutting you, that is why the government uh, the government has the 1 bedroom and the 2 bedroom apartments. So
Right.
the 2 bedroom, I think it's $73,000, and the 1 bedroom is Is it 55, Junior?
50, one is, I think one is 75 and one is 50 something. Within that
So
range. I could get the full numbers for you, but
55,000.
Right.
So again, we must understand not just the 70. We can realize that you're focusing on the 70 something thousand, but they are 50 something $1,000. Yeah,
So
55, right?
a family would live in a one bedroom. Is that what you're suggesting, Cam?
No. What I'm saying is that if you're low income, you have an option. So might have your daughter, and you might be a single mother, or your father and somebody else. But I'm not saying that what you're saying is incorrect. I'm simply saying that there is an option, and
Okay.
it speaks to responsibility. Though we need to inculcate in our people that you have to become more responsible. You cannot just expect government to do everything for you. You enter into an agreement and you say, well, you're going to pay 150 on a monthly basis. The onus is on you to pay 150, even if it's government or even if it's the bank. So, we can't set the precedence where people are going to just occupy an apartment, occupy a house, and because it's government and my party in power, I'm not going to pay, and no consequences will follow. And that's just the point I was trying to show
right.
you.
Okay. Dwight, what's your take
I
on
think
it?
Michael was making a point.
Michael?
Junior,
Sorry.
I really want to cut him here.
Okay. Michael, you want to finish your point and then we come to Dwight?
Well, they have to be set asides based on a person on the criteria, the capability and the criteria of that person based on their earnings. There have to be some set aside where you say that, look, a family, a single woman, head of household, earning $1,500 or less. There's no way a bank would allow her a mortgage. She just can't afford it. So what do we do with these people? This
No,
house,
and that is why you
some of
see,
this
Michael.
house.
But
Let me finish.
Michael,
Michael,
Let
yeah,
me
the
finish.
government engaged the
Some
lending
of these
institutions.
houses were given to us, were given as gifts from the Chinese. They were
Right.
It has to be
given as
maintained.
gifts,
Yeah.
and
It has to be maintained.
we have to come up with a formula whereby we accommodate single women, head of household, the elderly, the low income earner. We have to devise a plan of how we accommodate them so we could put a roof over their head. You see, we cannot have a one size fits all for everybody. Our economy is not like that. Or the alternative is, let us develop the economy whereby more disposable income is flowing in the hands of ordinary people so they can stand on their own. But in the meantime, based on it is now, we have a problem because people on the bottom of the economic ladder just will not be able to afford such a home. It is tough as it is, making ends meet on $1,500 a month.
Yeah,
When you look
but
at
Michael,
but
we
yeah,
should not forget,
agreed.
these are the people who you find in the shows for $400 a ticket. These are the people you find doing their nails and their hair every week. These are the same people that we call poor and vulnerable, but I tell you, they
I
live
didn't
a
call them poor and
fine.
vulnerable, I never use the word.
Sorry, low income.
I call
Sorry.
it low
But
income.
Michael, let me come in here. Let me come in here, Michael, because I see your point and I see where you're going, right? But these same, and I want to do the flip side of what Kim just did. These same single mothers that you're talking about, and yes, it's a reality. But rent is also going up, and that is a reality. And the cost of rent now is the cost of the same mortgage that you're paying to a bank. In addition to that, there are single mothers, and I love to see this because I tip my hat to these mothers, these women, these young women who, for whatever reason, got pregnant in secondary school or just after secondary school in early 20s.
Without cutting you, Dwight, junior people are asking for the number for the live. I don't know if
Okay.
it's been shown.
Yes, the
If you
number.
want
Okay,
to
so the
call
number,
in.
if you want to call, I know it's
Yes,
showing, but it's not
start on
announced.
the,
Okay, 718
Dwight.
701 5720. I forgot that we're also on radio. So, guys, if you want to call in on the live, on the radio, the number that you call is 718 701 5720 to bring you on the live. Dwight, go ahead. And after you finish, Dwight, I have someone on hold on the line right now. So, go ahead, Dwight.
No, go ahead. Take the person.
Okay, let's take the call right now. We got a call on the line. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Grenada again, Junior. Please indulge me.
Yes.
I think Mr. Baptiste I agree with him. If you are owning $1,500 and you go to a bank, first of all, the bank will not entertain you to give you a mortgage for $200,000. Under the program, it's $75,000 for the two-bedroom house, right? You can get as long as a mortgage for 30 years. The repayment is less than $400 a month, which is in the region of rent. So that same person earning $1,500 or $2,000 who is renting can go into the property and basically pay what they pay in rent. Now, if you have, I mean, let's face it, if you're a single mother with 4 or 5 children, she don't have that option to rent a property, a 2-bedroom property. And then you are qualified by the National Housing Authority. And then they send you to the bank. Once they qualify you and you go to the bank would immediately give you the mortgage. You pay your $70,000, that money is paid to the Housing Authority. The quickness in which this transaction taking place, the Housing Authority could maybe use that as what they call a revolving credit, so more people can benefit. If it's you and a woman, and let's say example, two young people, a couple, and they are, let's say, not Imanina, traffic wardens, right? They combine salary, and if they're living together, the combined salary could be in excess of $2,500 a month, or $3,000 a month, and you're paying $400 for rent. Come on.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a good start for anybody. But I mean, there are parameters. You can expect to go in a 1-bedroom house and you have 4 children. You can expect to do that. This is starting for people, young people coming out. And as a matter of fact, after servicing that money, after servicing that loan at a financial institution, and your equity grows, you could then go back to that financial institution, you're servicing property, the equity on your property grows, you in a position to use that as security, maybe to go and buy a 1/4 acre land to come and build something bigger. It's a good start. It's a very, very good start, but no $200,000 mortgage and $150,000 mortgage and stuff like that. No way. I mean, somebody would be mad to go to a bank. I'm earning $1,500 and I want to borrow $200,000 for 20 years, for 40 years. And of course, you have to take the age of the people also.
Yes.
This thing is for young, starting people. And mind you, there are other facilities at the National Housing Authority to help other people.
Exactly.
There are other facilities there to do that. But looking at the program, and I don't know, Mr. Baptiste keeps straying from the program that was introduced. He keeps straying. The program is, like the lady talked about the road, excellent, excellent, excellent. Good night.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, caller, for calling in. Again, the number that you call if you want to reach us on the inside, on the live, is 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Dwight, you were making a point.
Yeah, I was saying to Michael, one of the things that I applaud about women, Grenadian women, is that they started off in the public service and they may be earning $1,800, $2,000, whatever it is. Some of them may have a child or 2. But guess what? When you look at the St. George University graduation every year, sometimes up to 30-40% of their graduation, the total graduation numbers are Grenadian. When you look at that number and you divide by factor, sometimes even up 20-30 are women. These young women are not sitting down. They are getting up and they're getting for themselves. These single mothers these days are not accepting the status quo. They are going out there, they're getting education. This is not just St. George University, but the University of the West Indies, Grenada campus, open campus at the Marisha House. They are going out there. They're doing what they have to do to get education for themselves, right? And I think we need to, as much as applaud them and encourage them. Yes, they may not be able to walk into a financial institution and get a loan for $200,000. They may not. But I believe if young persons in Grenada, and I've said this on the last program that we spoke on this, and I'll say it again, if young people in Grenada are serious about their future, head down to the housing authority, if there are still units available, and get your hands on one of them. Because if you are 25 or 20 and you get yourself one of these units, by the time you're 35, if you're smart and you could afford it based on your salary, you can pay an extra $400, an extra $200, an extra $100, whichever you could pay monthly. You add on to the repayment number. You quickly pay off the loan, and now you can use that equity and you can go into something else. So I think it's important that we not just dwell on the negative, but we also dwell on the positive here. The positive factor is that we have a housing crisis in Grenada. These units were given as a gift, granted, but not because it was given as a gift. And I do not want us to entertain this NMP stupid way of thinking. Because it was given as a gift, you have to be just give it out as a gift. The reality is that it is brick and concrete at the end of the day, and it has to be maintained. And you mentioned, Micheal, that a 4-inch block is what, $5 per block, and a bag of cement is $30. The reality is that somebody has to fix it. Somebody has to maintain it. Somebody has to make sure that it's livable, right?
Right.
And if it is that we're giving it out to people who the NMP calls poor and vulnerable, then how are these people are going to maintain it? How are they going to make sure that it's in a livable condition? Who burden it becomes back a state burden again. And
Right.
when that happens, what you find happen is that these people, and as Kim said, and this is a reality. I don't like to say it, I don't say it at all, but it's a reality. When you create a situation where you have a give me mentality, you feel as if, well, it's like Junior give me one of the electric bikes. I didn't pay for it, so I decided, okay, well, I will ride this bike every day, ride it, don't maintain it, don't do anything, don't even charge it, and guess what? It run down. And guess
Yeah.
what? I'm going back now to Junior. I said, Junior, give me another bike. No.
And
The
that bike can
reality-
be expensive, just so you know.
and I'm saying, when you have a system of gimme, what you find happens that people don't take responsibility for their own action. So
Right.
in a lot of cases, when you look at these homes, they are filled with children that these same mothers or these same parents, they cannot maintain, because guess what? And the mentality is, okay, I go run down by the Ministry of Social Services because I need a school bag, I need a school shoe, I need a book, I need a this, I need a that. But the reality is, where is this money coming from? That is the question that needs to be asked.
Yeah.
And the NFP going to give you, because they want to come back at election time and say, oh, we give you book. Oh, we give a road walk. 2 fortnights. For how many times a year? Comparing to you giving them a job where they can provide for their family, they can meet their monthly commitments. As we say, they learn how to fish. It's like you're
Right.
giving them a fish.
Yeah.
But you are
I have a call on the line here.
Yeah,
That call
I'm
on the
wrapping
phone.
up.
Let's take this call. Let's take this call real quick. Hold on 1 second, Dwight. Caller, where are you calling us from? That call has been holding on like forever. Caller,
I'm
live?
calling you from Grenada. I am calling you from Grenada, Junior.
Grenada, thank you so much. Go ahead.
Right. I want to send in my 2 pence.
Yes.
What I notice in Grenada now is that some people in Grenada, especially the younger people, some of them don't want to work. I notice there are people like from Venezuela, Cuba, Guyana, and all other, the Caribbean island. They are coming in here, and they accepting whatever little job they get to do. We Grenadians here, we feel, we don't want to go and work in a store. We know the store don't pay in much.
Right.
Right? But at the end of the day, you're getting a salary. Thank God we're going to have the increase in the minimum wage. So people are going to work for something,
Call us, stick up in right there. Call us, stick up in right there. Stick up in right there. Kim, I know you have your radio, so you need to say something there.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Junior. I want to thank, Dwight and Micheal. I learn a lot. I love the way we, discuss amicably, bringing out the facts, bringing out information so people can be empowered, enlightened on things. I look forward, Junior, to being in New York. And next time I'll bring Micheal with me because he's actually in Grenada now, right? So it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And to the folks on Vibes 101.3 FM and 106.3 FM, thank you very much for tolerating us with this big program, this big platform. Junior, keep doing what you're doing. I really
Yes.
admire what you're doing, my brother. And folks, thank you very much. And I have to clock out at this point in time.
Yes. And just give them another reminder, Kim, on the 2nd.
Yeah, the second, yes. And tickets, you can actually access tickets on my Facebook page. You can look there, the flyers all over the place. Just look at the number, call, holler. You get a ticket, it's just $40 donation, really. We're going to socialize, we're going to talk about diaspora affairs, we're going to look at what we can do to develop and help our country. It's a touchdown. That's my first time in New York. I've been to Boston recently too. But it's really a good opportunity, and great many people want to meet me and interact and so on. And I look forward to that. It will be a wonderful time out there in New York. So I'm coming to New York on December the 2nd, and I'm leaving on the 3rd. So just for one day, right? Or should I say day or a couple of hours? Coming on the 2nd and leaving on the 3rd. So I look forward to meeting the folks in the diaspora in New York. And let's have a wonderful time at the Nutmeg House, 1215 Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Take it,
Yes.
Ken, back for now. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely. And that Cam had to do that programming for programming purposes because, of course, his program is also carried on the radio. Caller, sorry for cutting you halfway into what you were saying, so you could go ahead, caller. Continue.
Yes, so I made a point that that is my observation. That, the people coming in from migrating into Grenada, they're coming in, they're taking the little jobs that they get because they see opportunity for them. And if my memory serves me right, I think programs under the housing, under the government program in terms of housing, if you really cannot afford to build a house, they assist you.
Right.
They give you material. And I think they have the brigade where they send the brigade to help you put up the house.
Right.
Then it have the real poor, when I say, I wouldn't say poor, vulnerable people. They give them what you call house repair.
Right.
Right? And Junior, presently, right now, the previous government, there is a lot of people that got, Junior, I have been going around the country, and you can see these people and them, they got the material. The material stayed under the house, it rotten. Right? All that is wastage, and taxpayers have to pay for it. But I'm making the point to say it's time that we get more serious.
Right.
If you want something, you are going to work for it. Mm-hmm. You are going to work, and you're going to have ambition, and you're going to try to achieve your goal. It's not every time you have to sit and let people just give you. Have some ambition.
Yes.
And try and own something. Those who cannot make it, put structure in place for them. Yes. But if you're working for $2,000, $2,500, why you cannot go to the bank and take a little loan and purchase the house? They're giving you time to pay your loan.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, man.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much, caller. Yeah. All right, let's just jump to this next call real quick, guys, because then we have to get some closing words from Dwight and Micheal, because, guys, believe it or not, we absorbed 2 hours already, and we need to stop that. We got a caller. Caller, you're live. Caller, go right ahead.
Presently, right now. Okay. Good night, Junior.
Yes.
There's a lot of people. Yes. I just want to add my 2 cents to your program tonight concerning the housing program.
Yes.
In 2018 or 19, I went to the housing authority. Somebody told me that they were building houses for people. All right? I already owned some lands. I went to them regarding, getting information to see how I could build a house. And the manager of the housing authority then told me that they're not building houses for people like they used to. They will supply the labor, you get the loan, and they will supply the labor for you. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, he even showed me one of the houses that they built for somebody, and the lady started to pay. I think he said she paid about 3 months, and it's somebody I know well. She paid for about 3 or 4 months, and then she said she's not paying anymore because her government in power. Mm. I went to Annandale, and there was a house in that area that the housing authority was building for somebody who was in England. All right? Mm-hmm. So what this government is doing now is what the previous government was doing. They were referring you to the banks to get the loan, and they would supply the labor.
Right, but not in relation to the housing, in relation to the Chinese housing, that was not the case. It was different. In the Chinese housing in phase one, they were paying straight to housing authority, and some people just were not paying. Right.
That's the whole. That's the whole thing. The then manager of the housing authority told me that was one of the reasons that they weren't building houses again. They weren't. Whoever get house, in other words, get a house. Then you're not getting anything else now unless you can finance it for yourself.
Right.
Because people were saying that my government in power, I am not paying. My question to him was, so what is the government doing about it? He said, what do you want us to do? Throw the people out of the house? The lady tells me her government in power.
Yeah.
You know, so what you want me to do to get in trouble? So what this government is doing is nothing new. And Grenadians need to, well, not Grenadians on the whole, a few of them need to educate themselves. And I noticed that the opposition is not saying poor and vulnerable again. And I have to thank him for that, right? Because he educating them. The thing is, it was an orchestrated plot to keep them poor and vulnerable so that their votes would be ensured when election time come. And as the caller before me was saying, Grenadians, the younger generation on the whole, get lazy because they become so dependent on the little handouts that they were being given. And they were not educating themselves to know that you have to make a way for yourself. Somebody could give you a start.
Right.
Right? But you have to use that start to make it. It's like somebody give you a goat.
Yes, scholar. Yeah, educate yourself to move forward. And you can't depend.
And this is right. And what Michael Baptiste is trying to say, that he is way off the subject of the thing. If you could pay a rent for $400 and they're asking you to pay that same $400 to own your own house, why can't you do it?
Okay.
We are accustomed to making sacrifices.
True caller. Thank you so much.
You know, the same $400 you're paying for rent, you're paying it as a down payment on a house.
Right.
Equity.
Yes.
And I guess they don't understand equity.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much. All right, guys, so we're way over the time. We're going to close off. And I like when we have conversation where we could get inputs from so many different people on these perspectives. We are 2 hours. And I'm hoping that Brother Dabrio, or anyone for that matter that may have opposing views, come on and share their views. We'd like to hear different perspectives on this program. So let's close off now. Michael, we spoke about a lot of stuff, the IMF thing. I want you to go back into it briefly and just summarize it and tell us about in summary, what should be done from your perspective, and also close off with the housing thing. Yeah, we do have a lot of time, so probably you could condense that in a minute or two. I don't know if you could.
Thank you very much. In terms of the IMF report, the report points out to danger ahead. It says that we are doing well in terms of the CBI and construction. It made no mention about sustainable development. The CBI is an uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty there because of the laws that were laid down by the United States in terms of who and how you can enter the United States now with a CBI passport.
But no. That's not the right. That's not the right term. Not a CBI passport.
Well,
the E2 visa. E2 visa is what you get for the United States.
The same CBI.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same because what people have to understand that the CBI thing is not just unique to Grenada or the Caribbean. The US have CBI program as well. All over the world have CBI program. So to say that CBI program would just be non-existent and void is not really correct.
Not non-existent. There's some restrictions.
Right, but that doesn't mean that CBI, the whole concept of CBI, because again, US, you could basically invest in the US and become a citizen as well. You could do that for Canada, and I'm sure in England as well. If you have the money and you can invest in project in those big developed countries, you could get a passport or you could get a green card. So it's not like CBI is going to just freeze up and then that's going to end the CBI. I
No,
think that it would
no, I never
continue.
said, Junior, I never said it would end. I said there would be some restrictions.
Right.
Okay? So if our economy is growing on that, I think there's reason for concern. I think the fact that agriculture made no contribution towards that growth is troubling. I think our rural economy is still sluggish. While we talk about growth, there's a lot of people still hurting. And I think the growth have not yet reached the people on the bottom of the economic ladder. So there's a lot of work to do. But it's encouraging to hear that in spite of the collapse of the rural economy, there is still growth, and we pray that sometime the growth will trickle down to the ordinary people that's feeling the pinch right now. In terms of inflation, I can't help but tell you, when you go into the supermarket today and you look at the prices on the shelf, it's worldwide, but it's reaching here. The war in Ukraine, the problems in the Middle East, overall cost of living worldwide have significant impact on the cost of living in Grenada and create tremendous hardship here. There's no doubt about that. In terms of housing, in the China Hill project in Subies, when the project was first proposed, the government of the day had some set aside for people living in Subies in the low-lying areas. They said that people who are living in the vulnerable areas close to the sea line, they would get free housing. I don't know if that still stands. So some of the people living in China Hill are genuine people that were removed from the coastal front in Subies and placed there on the undertaking that they would pay no rent at all.
Right.
But in terms of the overall housing problem, there's a housing crisis in Grenada, and we cannot have a policy where one size fits all. I heard the lady said, if you're paying $400 for a rent, you can pay that down on a house. I wish it was as simple as that. The problem of banking, the banking system have to be looked at. It is too difficult for Grenadians to access loans, both for development and for housing. So we need to look at this area. But overall, I want to thank you for again having me on the program. I was happy to be here with Kem. We agree on in a lot of areas, and a lot of areas we don't
For
agree.
For once.
I'm looking forward. Dwight is a off swinger. He swings here and there, so it's hard to anything. But by and large, it was a good program. I'm happy to be here with. I was happy to be here with Kem.
Thank you, my brother. Dwight also have to run, and we're over time. So Dwight, close it off for us, and let me take care of my housekeeping, my ads and stuff.
I think my uncle Donkey wouldn't like Micheal to be saying that, but it's all right. I will accept his sentiment. I'm not a swinger. I know where I stand. Yeah, it was a good program. I'm actually in my kids' bedroom because it's the quietest place in the house, and they're way past their bedtime. So I blame you for that, Junior.
Yeah.
In my wrapping up remarks, I think this present government has its challenges and has its struggles, like every government. But I think the undertone is the commitment to the development of Grenada. I think that is critical. And yes, we have a housing problem. I don't think it's a problem that started now. I don't think it's a problem that started with the previous government. I don't think it's a problem that started with the previous government before the previous government. I think it's something that we should have put emphasis, rural development, urban development rather, something that desperately needs to be looked at. If you look at areas where I come from in the South, Grandin, St. David's, you realize that people are just find a plot of land and put up something that they can live in, something that's comfortable for them, and they are left to fend on that. So I think urban development is critical. Now, I want to make the note that the problems that Grenada face, in many retrospects, it's not just a Grenadian problem; it's a regional problem.
Yes, true.
And a lot of these problems, and sometimes it's not even just regional; it's global. And a lot of these problems are inherited from government to government, and they're not going to go away in the immediate future. But I want to strongly end on this point. sometime in the program it was talked about the bread and butter issue. And I want to say this, that regardless of what you do, regardless of what the government does, regardless of how many jobs they provide, there are still some people who will not have access to the economic, the spur in economic activity. It's just the reality.
Right.
As well as some people are going to get it. The construction workers and so on, they are going to benefit, right? The single mother who can probably work on a construction site or work in the geriatric care service or wherever, they might benefit. But the problem that we have in the Caribbean and in the world right now is that whenever money comes in the left hand, it goes out in the right hand. And that's just the reality, because guess what? You have high electricity rates, high internet rates, because it use a bit of electricity as well, because of the war in Ukraine and now the pending war with Guyana and Venezuela, two oil producing nations. It's not going to go away, and this has nothing to do with the government of the day. So anybody telling the government of the day is responsible, it's not true. It's a lie. It is because of the conditions in the world. We have a situation with the Panama Canal now. The Panama Canal used to be the gateway where ships could have come through from the east, from the countries, China and Japan and Korea, come through the Panama Canal, come into the Caribbean, even go to North America. The Panama Canal, there's been a backlog there. Over 200 ships have been standing waiting to go through the canal and can't. All of these things affects the economy of our third world countries as Grenada. It's critical and important that we understand that. So no matter what investment opportunity, no matter what economic activity the government stirs up, as quick as the money comes, it will go. And every country in the world, in the Caribbean, is facing this right now because of the uncertainty that lies. It takes very longer now. If you live in the US, you can order. I was telling somebody this just on the weekend. You can order a charger tonight, and it comes to you in the morning. And Junior, but in the Caribbean, it takes 2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks in some instances, but it takes a week. But it takes longer time because of where we are located. So I'm just saying to my Grenadian brothers and sisters, whole strain. We understand it's difficult. You understand that it's frustrating, but you can make it. You just have to find that little ton hand, as we just call it. If you can make a little guava cheese, you can sell that, sell it. If you can make a little juice bag, sell it. Whatever you can to supplement your income, this is what you have to do. Nobody, even in the great America, nobody these days seems to be having one job. Everybody's finding a talent and a skill. You do the same thing too, and you may just be able to survive. That's all I have to say. Good night. God bless you.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much, Dwight. And of course, Micheal, Baptiste, thank you so much, my brother. It was always great, always good having conversation with you guys. And there's Kem Jones, who were on earlier. Thank you so much, my brother. I got some closing words, my thoughts, when I come right back. Don't move.
Grenada, as we celebrate 50 years of independence.
I love my Grenada.
Made in Grenada presents the celebration of 50 years of Calypso.
Open me a little better night, honey.
One stage.
No, not so fast.
One show.
Music holding me, controlling.
Grenada's best Calypsonians performing Grenada's greatest hits.
Don't take it off. I like it.
Sunday, February 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. sharp. Grenada National Stadium. More information coming soon.
When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise her hand and she tell respect. He no place sweeter than home.
The government of Grenada, through the Ministry of Finance, is continuing the rollout of its tax amnesty initiative. The amnesty provides 100% waiver of all interest and penalties on all outstanding balances up to the end of December 2021. All taxpayers with outstanding tax balances and outstanding returns to file are encouraged to take advantage of this amnesty. All tax types administered by the division are eligible for tax amnesty. For further information on the tax amnesty, please contact the Inland Revenue Division at 435-6945 or 435-6946. Email tpshelpdesk@ird.gov.gd or visit our website ird.gd. Amnesty ends December 31st.
The The Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sandy Manity.
Cathwell Stationery Services Limited announces its massive blowout sale on all stationery for school and office. Get copy paper at just $18 per ream. Enjoy up to 18% off folders, cardstock, Bristol boards, ink and toner cartridges, laptops, office furniture, and more. To order now, call 442-5848 or 5747. Or call 435-3377 and get free delivery island-wide and the lowest prices nationwide. Or visit our outlet on Scott Street, St. George's, where we guarantee the lowest prices daily. Cathwell Stationery Services Limited, the reliable office supply people.
Yeah. Thanks for watching on this extended version of Ride Along Live. Okay, let me tell you this. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. Stop believing and feel like somebody owe you something. Nobody don't owe you nothing, right? I get the impression from some people that they feel like there is some kind of organization that is probably in the diaspora or someplace that is just set up specifically to just send money or send barrels or just that money just sitting there waiting to just allocate. Nah, there is nothing like that. Don't sit there and feel like people or anybody for that matter owe you anything. You have to get up and get. You have to find your niche. You have to find what you're good at. Everybody was born with a talent. Everybody was born with something that was given to them from God that they could use to utilize to even bring in an income for themselves and to support their family. So don't sit there and feel like, you're going to wait or rely on somebody to bring you that or feed you or spoon feed you or give you this. Nobody don't owe you nothing. Nobody don't owe you nothing. There was this one lady, she called us one time and she needed some assistance. Now we give assistance when we can. There's no obligation, right? We are not sitting on a pile of money and we ain't pick no money from no money tree. So we were in a position at this point in time to help this lady and she needed the assistance. After we give the lady assistance, I gave her an advice. I said, listen, I'm going to give you this cash, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the Coke factory. I want you to go and buy some Coke, some Fanta, some Sprite, and even go to the breweries. Buy some beers and get a nice little cooler and sell these things. Sell the water, sell the Coke, sell the beers, sell it, right? The money that you would make from selling those products should be double what you put in, what you spend. As soon as you get that, you take 50% of that, you pocket that, and you take the next 50% and you buy, you just keep replicating that same idea once again. Go and buy 50% of, go and buy beers and soda and water and Coke and sell it again. Sell that. Then you take 50% and you continue and replicate that. Funny enough, I thought that was a brilliant idea, so I don't have to hear from the lady again. Sadly enough, though, she called me back about 2 weeks later, and yeah, she asked for assistance again. So clearly she didn't take my advice. Clearly she didn't take my advice. So don't be that, guys. Don't be the person who sit there and expect that somebody owe you something, like somebody have something for you, and they nobody don't owe you nothing. Much as don't believe government or a politician, for that matter, is going to spoon feed you or put food in your mouth like a bird. No, you have to get up and get, right? Like if that lady took my advice, I could guarantee you, if she took my advice, she would have been in a much better place, because the advice that I gave her is the same advice that I use myself. I had one little computer, one little old computer. I used to build computers and fix computers. I fixed that computer up. I put all kind of Microsoft Word back in it, have real good softwares on it, and I sold that computer, that one computer, and I bought 2 computers. I kept one, sold the next one, I bought 4, and 8, and 10. Next, I had so much computers selling. I used to build and sell computers. That's before Y2K. So if you just replicate these ideas in other things, guys, you would see you don't have to depend on nobody, because that is the problem. When you become vulnerable to somebody, they own you. They own you. And they will only give you just the right amount to keep you satisfied for just that short period of time. Just enough to get you halfway full. They ain't going to fully feed you. They ain't going to fully tell you, no, listen, take this and make something out of yourself. I don't want to be there always giving you something. You could do it. You could do it. So don't let nobody tell you that you can't, right? And don't feel that anybody owe you anything. Nobody don't owe you nothing. Nobody don't owe you nothing. Get up and get. And that advice is worth $1 million. Trust me when I tell you that. An advice is worth more than $1 million. I'm sure Mike, as a businessman, or anyone that's listening to me could understand that, could attest to that. All right, that's all I have to say today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being a part of this program. I want to apologize to one person. I'm not apologizing for the video that I did yesterday, right? It was needed to be said, right? But my mom was scrolling through Facebook yesterday. And she watched the video all the way to the end. Yeah. So I should have said at the beginning, Mom, don't watch this video, right? But my mom, she's always a big supporter. I mean, she understands my frustration. I'm not apologizing for the video yesterday, okay? I'm not apologizing for the video yesterday. It needed to be said. And if I had more time, I would have said more. Who know what I'm talking about? No. Who don't know? Go and watch the video from yesterday. Watch till the end. All right? Who know? Who don't know? Don't know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching again. Chem party is on Saturday. If you guys are going to be around in New York City, if you guys are going to be in New York City, go and purchase a ticket for that event. It's $40. And you could click that link right now and pick up that ticket. Or you could call, I believe Spice Rock has some tickets still. You could call Spice Rock. And you could call right along. We'll give you some information where you could pick up the tickets as well. If you're in Brooklyn, you could pick up the tickets there. Get it before the event because they might charge more at the door. Right? We have well-stocked bar, real vibe celebrities passing through and thing. Real vibe, real music and stuff, right? So if you're in Brooklyn, Saturday is a vibe in Brooklyn. Yeah, Saturday, big up yourself. See, people say, oh Lord, what Chem is a celebrity coming to New York and turn up the place. Turn up the place. Guys, also, if you're going to be in Grenada for Independence, we're going to be having an executive cruise, and we're going off to Hog Island, and that's February 4th. You might think it's a long time away, but you could get a ticket now, right? Food and drinks and real vibes on the executive. Rental, e-bikes rental, excursions, more information on that, you could go to ridersebikes.com or ridersebike.com. But we're going to be telling you more about it. The official launch of the Riders e-bike is going to be on January 2nd. We'll have our first ride, but we are going to have a waiting list because we do not test ride. We do not test ride, and I'm only we're going to have opening for 5 people that want to do a test ride, and that's going to be before. So we're going to ride as a group, kind of like showing how the e-bike work and stuff like that. So we're taking 5 of our viewers. So if you want to be on that list or considered to be on that list for a test drive, we're going to put the link there. You could fill out the little form and to be a part of our first rides on the island. Okay? All right? Look out for that, guys. Jackie Chaitan, happy belated birthday to you. Happy belated birthday, Jackie Chaitan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, if you have a business and you want to advertise, Ride Along is still the number one, reaching over 10 million, and it's increasing. And we even added some other components. Of course, we have our 20,000 plus downloads on our Fire TV. Yeah. Over 20,000 downloads on Fire TV. And of course, you could even listen to our podcast on Spotify, right? So you can listen to Ride Along podcasts on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts. So it's all over. Everything like salt. You're going to get tired to see we face. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night. On behalf of all of the production crew here, executive producer Lynn, how you doing? Boss lady. And of course, Kibbs, big up yourself. Gail Charles. Thanks to everyone. Good night.
Now, get ready to conquer the road with Zion Driving Instructors, conveniently located at 1782 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We are your ticket to driving success. We are known for and specialize in the best rates for driving classes, ensuring you reach your driving goals affordably and efficiently. Our expert instructors offer personalized one-on-one training, making you a confident and skilled driver. Plus, we offer convenient 5-hour classes and various packages deal to give you even more value. Ready to take the wheel? Call us today at 718-374-5678. That's 718-374-5678. Or visit ZionDrivingInstructors.com. That's ZionDrivingInstructors.com. Zion Driving Instructors, your journey to the open road starts here. Contact us and make your driving dreams a reality. Mention this ad and get a 5% off selected package.